friends, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. My name is Sonja, and today I'm bringing you some restoration hardware dupes. And with these look for less DIYs, not only did I save a ton of money, but they were insanely easy to make. So I can't wait to share them with you. Make sure you are subscribed and give me a thumbs up if you are enjoying this video. So for the first one, I'm going to be using this vase that I had thrifted for $10.99. I wish it was $1.99, but $10.99, which I still think it was a great steal. I did, however, manage to break the top of it, so I did glue it, and I'm going to be recreating this look. And as you can see, these vases are not cheap, and I think I can do this for a lot less money. Obviously, this vase did cost me only $10.99. However, I will make a little change. The color of the vase is very bright white. I wasn't loving that brightness, so I am going to be creating kind of my own little custom paint with creamy and mixing a little bit of white into it just to lighten up the cream so it's not so bright white. Again, this is a dupe. This is an inspirational piece. You can create it any way you want it to go. For me, I think the shape was very similar, and I really liked the texture that the inspirational piece had on it. So I'm going to be using some old ochre chalk paint. It is by Annie Sloan, and mine I've had for a very long time, so it gotten really thick because it's kind of drying out a little bit. Now you can thin it out, but I actually wanted it to be thick. Now if you don't have chalk paint that is already thicker, you can always just take your acrylic paint and add some cornstarch or even baking soda to it, and it will thicken it up. You can even add some flour to it if you don't have either one of those, and you can get a very similar look. So I'm going to take this old ochre and I'm going to add some acrylic white paint to it. Just like I said, I didn't quite love the yellowness of the old ochre, but I didn't want the brightness of the white paint that I had either. So kind of mixing them in to create a little custom paint of my own. And because the paint is thick like that, it's going to add give me the brush stroke design on the vase, and that is what's gonna create that textured look. So I have been creating a lot of high-end dupes on this channel lately because this is what I feel that you guys want to watch based on the views and the engagement and all that stuff. But if there's any type of video that you are missing that you would like me to create, let me know down in the comments. I will try and accommodate everybody's wants and needs. I have been enjoying creating these dupes, but because as we all know, everything is so expensive these days, and I love decorating. I love changing out my decor, and this is one way that I can still fulfill that hobby of mine without breaking the bank. So as you can see, this is creating that textured look, and because the paint is so thick, it is actually doing a pretty good job covering it up. I am not going to be doing 2 coats of this paint because, like I said, this is doing a pretty good job of covering it all up. And this vase did have some bubbles on it as well, I think just the way it was made, so I think that even added more character to it. And now you can see where I had broken it. I had knocked it over, kicked it actually, and it went flying. I'm just grateful that that's all that it broke, and with this chalk paint it will cover it right up. So I think I'm just about done here, and I'm going to give you a bit of a closer look so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, the brush stroke design. I'm just making sure that all the bottom is covered. So here it is, and you can see those little bubbles, and I think this will dry really nicely as well. And I'm going to show you how I styled it in my room. So here it is. You can see the brush strokes now. It's all dry, and I really like it, how that turned out. Lots of texture on it. And I just have to touch up the top because I did smear some paint off, and I just added some olive tree branches in it. For the next DIY, this is super easy. No skills required whatsoever. So I had this pizza tray from Dollarama, and I've used it for several different things. So I just was cleaning it up so it's nice and clean so the paint can stick to it. And I'm going to be recreating this look. So I think when I got my tray, I paid around $2. As you can see, this is $450. And I happen to have some gold paint left over from Christmas. So I'm going to be painting it, and that will be it. $2. That's all it cost me. And I think it will give me a pretty close look. So originally I was going to use spun gold, and you will see in just a second it wasn't going on the way I had wanted it to go on. Maybe if I added some Mod Podge to the bottom of it, it would the paint would stick better, but I was worried if I added Mod Podge it would cover up all the little dents that this tray had, this pizza pan had, and I kind of wanted it to have all those dents and bends in it because I think it would contribute more to that etched look that the original piece had. So once I had discovered that this wasn't going the way I had wanted it to go, I am going to clean all the paint right off of it and proceed with some spray paint. So here it is, and I'm going to spray paint it. I did go outside to do this because I do my DIYs during nap time most of the time, so I didn't and of course you don't want to be spray painting inside, even though I do have a pretty heavy duty fan right above my craft room. I still didn't want it to spray paint inside. So I give this a decent coat. You might have to go in with another coat, but I will let this dry before I switch it and spray paint the other side. And here it is. I think this is pretty close. Here is a look at the original piece and the inspirational piece, just so we can compare the two. I think the lip is a little bit higher, but I think my spray paint color was pretty close, and I think the look, it did give me pretty similar look. Now moving on to the last DIY. I love using books, decorative books, to decorate either on floating shelves or in my hutch or on top of the coffee table, fireplace, and whatnot. So I had seen this stack of books, and the price is per book. And as you can see, it is $69, which is not overly budget breaking or whatnot, but I do feel that I can make it for almost free. So I just picked out a book from my book stack. I wanted it to have a hardcover, and I think this one would work really good. I originally wanted to make a couple of them just to give couple different sizes look, but I realized once I started doing gathering my supplies for this DIY that I only had scrap pieces of this drop cloth. I for some reason thought I had a full pack of it. But nevertheless, you can make as many as you want. I'm just going to show you how I made this one, and the process would be exactly the same for all the rest of the books that you would want to make. So like I said, you want to pick a hardcover book. I just think that would be easier to work with, preferably something that's not as bright colored as this, because a little bit was showing. And you could also paint the cover in case if you only have the bright colored books. And then to create that design on here, I am adding a good amount of hot glue and just little strips of it, but you want it to be fairly thick. And you want this to completely dry before you move on to the next step, because you don't want to squish it. I did mine about inch apart, and then once they were dry, I added Mod Podge in the middle, in between. And then I'm also going to add Mod Podge on top and bottom. And when I'm applying my drop cloth, now this is a linen drop cloth that I picked up at Dollarama. I have used this for many DIYs, from pillowcases to table placemats, all sorts of stuff. Even a tablecloth I've made with it. I just absolutely love this drop cloth and how versatile it is. If you cannot find any at your local dollar store, Home Depot carries it as well. It's a lot bigger pack, and at this point it might even be cheaper than at Dollarama what I was paying for it, because once you calculate the size of the roll. So when you are attaching this, you want it to be very tight. So there's no like loose pieces. It's not curling up anywhere. You want it to go very tight over top of this, so that way it can show all the little designs on it. So once I felt like it wasn't moving as much, I ended up adding some Mod Podge over top of it as well. And then once I finished on the top, I went ahead and added some onto the front cover and the back cover. And to keep the linen in place while the Mod Podge is curing, I did give it a couple dots of hot glue on the inside and folded the linen into it. I actually end up using the hot glue for all the folds, just to make sure that it stays in place. Also going to clip it just to make sure it stays in place. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And once it was all done, I did go ahead and add some Mod Podge on top of it as well. And then, like I mentioned, for the folds, I'm going to be hot gluing them. But here I'm just showing you how nicely the design is showing up. And I'm sure most of you know, I don't know if people did this here as well, but I grew up in Europe. I moved to Canada when I was 16. And when we used to go to school, we used to have to, even in grade, like from 1 to 8, even in high school, we used to have to purchase all of our books, like the math book, the science book, all those books. And in order, because they had to last me a whole year, and the covers weren't hardcover or anything like that, so we used to get some either butcher paper or wrapping paper or just a really nice paper or even newspaper and wrap the books in it to protect the covers. So this is what this had reminded me of doing, is wrapping our textbooks for school. So if you ever wrapped a book, this is, you just do exactly the same thing that you would have done when you were wrapping the book. I think this is going to be such a great addition to my decorating. I'm thinking I might use it on a floating shelf just to lift some decor up, and it'll add also a really nice look to it. Well, guys, let me know what you think. I think this turned out really nice. Again, like I said, I absolutely love the way it looks. I think it's going to be such a great addition to my decor. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thanks so much for watching.